40 villages that I visited in month of June last year had 71+% mobile phones in every pocket. There cannot be exception in this. There will be some mobile phone somewhere, everywhere. Especially smartphones and application and so forth. 71+% poor tribal villages had mobile phones, a smartphone, all kinds of. More than 60% households had a color TV, satellite based. Only 13% households has some kind of semblance of a toilet in house. If that tells you a story of a society, I think it tells me a great deal. First, our priority to where international market forces are leading to our life. With the data I started working on setting up, there's a big program going on in India today by the Prime Minister of India, Swachh Bharat, Clean India mission. And one of the part of the mission is to have at least one toilet per home. And I was party to conducting a study, communication study, to felt need of the people and how to meet those needs and what kind of communication strategies should we develop to reach out to people. That was a major issue. But when I looked at the data, I was still fumbling, can I do a communication strategy for such a community? Then day before yesterday, when we were meeting again, another set of data came, identical to my data from another part of the country. My data was from central India, it was from western India, and also from Maharashtra and several other places. So the point I want to begin by saying what a paradox that exists in Asian societies. At one level, we don't have enough money to feed ourselves. I'm not being apologetic about it, that's a fact of life I'm talking. Another level, we are forced by circumstances to buy mobile phone. Today I decided not to travel by taxi because I had 3 extra hours to spend. So I took a train from Changi to come to this place. I couldn't reach here, but that's another story, my mistake. Inside the railway, inside the compartment, there was not a single person talking to anybody, but everybody texting messages, receiving messages, watching something. And about 2 years ago, I was in Wisconsin. My professor, whom I was meeting exactly after 50 years, 1964, 2014, he asked me, what change did you see, Binod? I said, one change. Nobody's holding hands of anybody. A boy is not holding hand of a girl. A man is not walking with holding hand of a woman. He said, where did you see it? I said, come, I'll show it to you. There's a hill, it's called Bascom Hall. Everybody have to go up and climb down from the campus, like yours. Yours is more steeper than ours. Staircases. And Professor brought me up, and I was counting how many staircases, steps I have to take to reach to this department. So he said, what do you mean? I said, I see everybody holding a smartphone, texting messages, receiving messages. The most intriguing part is even when they're walking together and they're in love, they're texting each other rather than holding hands. And they talk like that. So this is a very major, sociologically very important change in society at a first level that we are seeing it is happening everywhere, anywhere. I was wondering in my hearts of heart, is it really change? What kind of change it is? And that's what brought me to sit down and think a little bit. The promised satellite communication gave it to us in 1960s and 70s, and what happened to us afterwards. This is a little story of my own indulgence of my own life, so I thought I will share with you. And slides are there, I will show it to you, but I will rather talk to you much more. Dr. Vikram A. Sarabhai, the name could be familiar to many of you, may not be familiar, was the first person who was chairman of Indian Space Research Organization. Indian Space Research Organization, who thought in 1963-64, after reading Arthur Clarke. You might be knowing Arthur Clarke was the first fictional writer in science who conceived the idea of satellite, sitting in Sri Lanka. We forget that he did that in Sri Lanka, not anywhere else. When he said, he drew a map, he said 3 satellites at height of 35,000 kilometers, stationary, they're put it there, the whole world will be connected. And the whole world will become a single village because of the communication. That conception was there. He wrote a little more about it. Dr. Vikram Sarabhai picked up the idea. And he simply said, if you want to push India forward, at least by 50 years, let us use satellite to reach to every village of India. For what purpose? Education, health, development, and national integration. He was very much worried about it, which is still a worrisome issue in India. Officially, if you pull out a currency note of India, you'll find approximately 16 languages written down, same amount. In Singapore is 3 languages? 4. Chinese, Malayalam, Tamil, English and Malay. We have innumerable, but officially 16 languages are written on our currency notes. Constitution recognized that. So he is worried about that a country like this, which has never been together, in his thought, I don't believe so, that's a different story. How can we put them together? And he thought communication is the only means by which everybody could be connected, interlinked, networked. So these 4 ideas that Sarabhai had, he said, I will take a satellite, put in the sky, and reach directly to the villages, skipping cities. And that way will save about 50 years of India's development, will ahead of 50 years. He calculated in his own mind that if India is to have a television in every village, it will take approximately 50 years, terrestrial system. But if you put the satellite, you don't have to do anything. So that's the beginning of the story that took many, many years ago. But I have been working for several years in this area, take a slightly different view. My personal view, which is documented by research, is that no technology is culture free. Technology is the outcome of a culture, a society, a political system, where it was designed, fabricated, and used. A simple thing, at a very personal level, whenever a phone rang in my house, and we were very fortunate home, where there was a phone way back in just after independence. So my grandfather would say, throw this machine out, only one person can listen. The family should listen what the talk is about. Am I making sense to you?
Yeah.
The phone should be heard by everybody in the house. Grandfather, grandmother, mother, father, my cousins, everybody should listen. Because I was calling from United States of America. But the technology would not permit more than one person. So my uncle will pick up the phone, he will listen, and then he will, as a loudspeaker, repeat it, what I was saying. Or sometimes he will not be able to repeat Only at the end of the talk, he will say, this is what I was saying. So, why? Because the technology was evolved, created for a society, a number of societies, where individual freedom and privacy was very important. Where individual communication one-to-one was very important. And therefore, it is very important. And you develop a one-to-one telephone communication. No satellite television, no telephone has been designed yet, except now Skype is helping to teleconferencing and meeting like this, but young men and women in the West don't like it because they don't want anybody to know what they were talking or sharing or reciprocating. So taking that clue, I'm only saying that no technology is culture free, and it is not culture free. It is in response to a particular society and culture, and only those people can utilize it properly for whom it was designed. Same argument I further advance to say that satellite technology, in which it was conceived, had a very different purpose. NASA in the United States of America was developing satellite for military purposes, for control of the world, to export their software to the rest of the country. I'm sure you live in Singapore, you must be watching, if not I Love You Lucy, but something else of American genre of television. Oh, is there any American satellite television received in Singapore?
Many times.
Many.
Many times.
Many. And you receive all American products.
Mm-hmm.
What does it tell you? I mean, I'm being jocular for a second. What does it tell you? I love you, and after 10 minutes I hate you. And third time it says, let's go to court, settle it, we get divorced. And I watch movies after movies, one theme comes out. Once, either the man will say, I leave you, or the girl says, I will leave you, woman. And that's the end of the story. When I ask the same question to my wife, my respondents, and many others in India, he said, how can that happen? 10 years they've been living together. How can he say, that's it? And then go to court and settle. So the point is that cultural responses are different in human relation. And technology was designed for a particular human relation. And I argue that it cannot work. Second thing is that it all evolved in a market economy system, where profit motive is the ultimate aim. And in that kind of economy, you do not find much people talking about anything else than profit. So what happened? I don't have any mobile phone at the moment to settle. Every 90 days, Japan changes the model. And I've been told in my colleagues in ISRO that it is now 7 days only. Obsolete. The telephone that I bought yesterday evening, next week is obsolete. Computer that I bought it, software will change, technology will change, and I have to buy a new computer. The question I'm asking to all of ourselves, myself, is it essential that I have to change my phone every 6 months? Is it essential that I must use a new software on my computer? Yes, it provides me speed, it provides me efficiency, but what is the cost of that efficiency? What is the cost of my speed? Do I really need this speed? Again, it relates to market and global economy, and therefore one has to re-examine this issue very carefully in the context of India, at least, and I would say in Asian context. I happened to be in China. Socialism, communism at one place, but when I was allowed to go outside Beijing in the villages, I saw people getting together, bringing their food, putting it together in one bowl and taking piece by piece, sitting around the simple cart. They were eating like that. So that's a cultural tradition that communism cannot break it. And so how do you think that technology will break other customs in the country? I leave that discussion at that point because three theoretical assumptions in the context of Euro-American culture broadly: freedom, privacy, and private ownership. Freedom, privacy, and private ownership. All three have a different meaning in the context of larger Asia. I ask often this one question to a young woman: you have freedom, go and marry anybody. No, I'll talk to my father. Let me get the consent of my father. Why? I do not know. That's the cultural tradition in which we grew. It is not that people don't break it, but by and large that is followed. Ownership, individual ownership. Again, the same problem. The term we is used in many Indian languages, not I. And if you use the term I, often people might get up and say, stop this I business, come to we. That's the owner. Then you look at the property ownership I mentioned to you, and then you look at the sense of freedom. What is freedom in American democracy is not the same freedom that I enjoy in India, but my friends tell me we have much more freedom than America. What does it mean? Yet to be seen. So freedom, ownership and privacy, these three cardinal principles of Judeo-Christian tradition does not apply in the context of India. One has to look at very carefully. Not only India, whole of South Asia that I have said, and I would venture to say in larger part of Asia. Sight was one of the first experiment that was conceived by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, satellite instructional television experiment, in which he precisely did, in his best thought, that satellite should be brought to India, satellite should be used for rural development, national development, and so forth and so on. And based on that one notion, he said, we'll bring community television to the villages of India via satellite. I so happen to be one of the few who worked on it at that time. So I will take a few minutes to go back in the history of 1973. Many of you are not born, but it's still a live issue, therefore it should be discussed. Satellite instructional television experiment was a joint venture between NASA, Indian Space Research Organization, and India's television public broadcasting Doordarshan. Then it was not called Doordarshan, it's called All India Radio TV. In addition, there were other partners to the experiment: Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Education, Home Science faculty. So there were multiple stakeholders in the experiment, but the prime responsibility was with the Indian Space Research Organization to carry out the experiment. What was that experiment? Precisely, United States of America through NASA gave 4 hours of time every day for 1 year of the first satellite that they were able to make operational called ATS-6. ATS-F was the first name. Once it succeeded, they changed the numeric value, put 6 on it. They are as superstitious as we are, so don't worry about that. So ATS-6 was used 4 hours a day for 1 year. August 1st, 1975 to 31st July 1976. Now, out of these 4 hours that was given to us, Americans have always suspicion India could never do it. I don't blame them. So every second month they will be on my head, our team head. What have you done? Where are you going? Are you going to succeed? Should we withdraw our satellite, give it to somebody else? That was the biggest threat they would give us all the time. But okay, patiently we listen to them, patiently they listen to us. At technology level, I will quote one line from a gentleman who was one of the architects of this experiment after that of Dr. Sarabhai, Professor Yashpal. He said, space scientists and engineers have claimed satellite instructional intelligence experiment a singular technological success. They're not too far from the truth. It was a singular success from all angles, technology terms. On satellite reception worked for more than 99%. Receive systems out of 2,400 villages that were selected in 6 states, they were working. More than 80% at any time. Satellite signals were received everywhere. Power was supplied to those villages which otherwise would have not got any electricity. So a very small joke. Professor, you have to tell me more when to stop. I have a computer here which can be put on but not put up. Okay? So you have to tell me what time I should stop. I'll stop at that time.
You can regale us with your story. You can keep going.
So the technological success of the experiment could be also seen from a sociological perspective. The gain that India made in areas of development, national integration, education, and so forth and so on. Just to tell you in very brief, the 4-hour time chunk was put into 4 language groups. Hindi, because the experiment was conducted in 6 states of India, excluding Gujarat, where Gujarat also used to receive the signals. Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Telugu and Kannada, Orissa, Oriya, Bihar, Hindi, Bihari Hindi. I want to make sure that Rajasthan, Marwari, Dhundhari, okay, and Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, because it is in the state of Chhattisgarh. So all these 6 language groups were different, but after great brevity, we put all Hindi together, so we reduced to 4 languages: Kannada, Telugu, Oriya, Hindi. And then this time was divided for each state for half an hour out of 4 hours. Another 22 minutes were given to primary education. So we used to produce program again in 4 languages, and that will be transmitted to 10 to 10, 30, 10 to 10, 22 and half. In terms of mathematics I'm talking, but that was also telecast simultaneously in 4 areas. But it was not possible in those days to simultaneous transmission, so 2 hours were spent, divided into 4 parts, and we will show that to them. And half an hour time was given for a national chunk. Please remember, India was going through national emergency, first time and hopefully last time. That half an hour was given a national chunk. It was basically Mrs. Gandhi and Mr. Sanjay Gandhi will appear on the screen every day in the evening, talk about more plantation, more family planning, and country is improving. So that way, this whole time was divided 1.5 hours for children, half an hour for national, 2 hours for 4 language groups. And that's how it worked. My responsibility at a very personal level was to evaluate the whole project. And I had a team of approximately 200 people spread across the country who will provide me at least 70 people every night. There was no mobile phone, there was no cell phone, so they'll go to the nearest telex place. One state has one telex from where they'll send some message, then they'll send us postcards. And we will sit down, take the feedback, analyze it. Very soon, as a researcher now I'm confessing today, very soon we realized that these teachers were cheating us. Every postcard had the same information. 70 children attended. Today 76 attended. Day after tomorrow 80 attended. So the variation was very minor. In the evening also we found, so I dispatched several people to go to the village. Myself, I went there to see what was happening. Many of the people approximately delegated the task to another friend of his in the room, her or his, in the village. Say, fill it. Each day there was a postcard, so they'll fill all the details. There was a map made on the postcard who was sitting where, because we were interested in knowing if was there any, how would I say, any breaking of barrier between men and women in the village as a result of TV viewing. But no, that came out very clearly. Women sat on one side, men in the other side, children in the front row. And the last row was given to women, middle was the men. But the pattern didn't change for the whole year. But we wanted to have feedback. The feedback, we did get some feedback, but not as exhaustive as we wanted to. So at the end of the year, I had to throw 200,000 IBM cards where I had punched the data because they looked very much similar. There was no variation indicated. Whereas the other study that was conducted along with this feedback was two women and 7 men. Stayed in the village for 18 months. 3 months before the television started and 3 months after the television, and they would write their diary, which was always written in duplicate. One copy was taken away and sent it to us. We were going through those data, and it was very clear that attendance was reducing slowly, interest was reduced among the viewers. Women were the first to withdraw because they were too busy cooking home and not enjoying the program. But the point I'm saying is that data were coming and we did analyze the data. Similarly, we have data on children. A group of psychologists was a part of our team from National Institute of Communication and National Institute of Education and Training in Delhi, under late Professor Snehata Shukla, who is a psychologist. Whole team worked. We were asking some very specific questions. One, has television viewing led to increase in attendance of class? Dropout rate has reduced. Unfortunately, I could not find any data to support that view. Second thing that emerged out of it is that the children and teachers will interact with each other after viewing the program. When I personally went to the villages, what do I find? During that 22.5 minutes, that was a relaxation period for the teachers to go out and smoke a bidi, have a cigarette and come back after the class, program was over. So there were other sociological variables which would hinder on the way of increasing interaction. One of our colleagues who is a social psychologist, she is a specialist, she conducted a number of studies and she took Piaget and Freud to understand if there was any increase in cognitive development of the children as a result of watching science program. And to her utter surprise, she said, cause and effect relationships do not develop in the minds of the children before 10 years of age. And the children who are watching the program were 5 to 10, 6 to 12 basically. So that didn't happen. But one area, very positive results came out was among the teachers who were trained on science education, who took great interest, watch it. But the interesting part was anybody who was gray hair like me did not take interest. Anybody who was like him took a great. In other words, younger age group teachers were more interested and keen to watch these programs than the older teachers. Personal interviews of mine when I did it later, just for the sake of understanding, at the age of 58, 56, I'm going to retire in 2 years' time. Why should I learn now new science? Forget it. But this finding is not unique to SITE. Few years later, when we did computer literacy in schools, it's called class project, we found a similar results. But there we found even much worse problem that the older teachers will not touch the computer. They will stand behind the screen and push a young teacher, do it yourself, show it how it should be done, and he will give instruction, not do himself. So that's technology fear remains high among the older people, and I see the same thing happening today among the older people when you give them a smartphone. They're worried about how to handle it. And in my own home, I don't have to go anywhere to see this experiment. My granddaughter, who is about 9 years old, she comes to me and tells me, Nana, you don't know how to do it, I'll tell you how to do it. And I have to listen to her, and she does it better than me. In the area of health innovations, we did find few effects. People picking ideas from television, trying to apply, understand. I wish Swachh Bharat was there at that time. I would have found out whether or not people have asked for more toilets in the houses. One thing which came out very clearly, the first generation television viewers in the age group of 24 and below were keen to watch TV. And they were receptive to the idea of TV learning, but not older. I have no explanation to provide on that. In area of agriculture, again we looked at it very carefully. Very interesting thing came out, both in family planning and agriculture. Awareness level above 80%. You ask a farmer, he will tell you, I know exactly what to do. He won't do it. Reason we found out little later that one, the whole program of agriculture in India is block development officers based, VLW based. So the TV will say, you need some information, go and ask VLW. If you want something more information, go and talk to block development officer. And this was something farmers detested on purely rational basis. They said to get a piece of information, I have to travel 8-9 kilometers, go to the block officer, development officer is not there, I waste my day and come back and get nothing. But at a micro level, when we started doing the analysis again, we found very interesting thing. If information was given to a farmer, when the farmer could do himself, he was very receptive to accept it. But he doesn't have to go anywhere. Second thing, if you do not suggest him any ideas which will cost him a lot of money. He was very rational, economic person as a human being. He will accept it. And so, for example, just to give one illustration, one time it was told reverse plowing will improve your yield. Reverse, you go one way and then come back on the same way. And that idea was picked up. New variety of seeds were picked up, experimented quietly by the farmers. Never told anybody. Once they succeeded, they started talking about it. So this whole cultural inhibition that people will laugh at me if they come to know that I was experimenting with new ideas. No, once you succeed in the idea, then go and tell everybody, but not before. Political socialization became a very big issue for, at that time, the government, but people did receive new information about political systems at that time. But because of the emergency, they are listening more to one leader, one idea, so not much could be achieved. But in the process of modernization, Ankrit had talked in US modernization tradition, we did find some seeds were generated in the minds of the people when they were watching it. The other experiment which went along parallel to this was the Kheda communication project. This project essentially was conceived as a hidden agenda by the scientists, not approved by the policymakers. So what they had done, again, the technology, it was a technology project, that they put a receive an antenna in a village called Pitch in Kheda district, where they'll receive the same signals and rebroadcast it. That was the beginning of a rebroadcasting technique that was done. And in between the programs, when the national program or some other state program, they will put some local programs. So we fondly call it a first time district level local television in India. We did find some gain at that level. Participatory communication increased a great deal among the people. They started asking questions to the district administration, district collector, why this is not being done in my village, because they'll get this information. But one thing that happened in the very important was dairy sciences. Kheda district is Amul's birthplace, where dairy development has been at the top level. They call it white revolution in India. That was where it started. The people in dairy development took full advantage of television, and they utilized it for transmitting their information day in and day out. I mean, whatever chunk of time, 3 hours given in the evening, they utilize it. And people watch these programs very carefully, utilize it, because apart from giving just knowledge, they were given practical tips, how to increase the fat in the milk, how much to feed a cow. All the information was available, but more than that, they were discussing and debating on it. But at the end, I will just say a paragraph. From various accounts, it is evident that while there was a great amount of sharing of common language, information and lifestyle, the distinct communication alliance, which were being maintained at various levels, permitted only a limited amount of information to pass through. We forget that there are communication alliances in villages. Such and such family will go to X family, to Y family for some information, not to anybody. And those alliances, later I developed a theory of communication alliance against Rogers' network, theory of network, is that these are very strong alliances, where everything is, all kinds of information is shared. Until you and penetrate in that alliance, your information remain against a stone wall. And that came out very clearly in our study at that time. The net effect was clearly demonstrative of the way external information related to development, either through official channels or through media, was accessible to different communication alliance groups. So it was not that I one-to-one I open the TV and get the information. Until that information reaches to the group and they discuss and debate and understand, they won't permit that to take place in terms of any action. I'm not going to go much on Communication Alliance, but later on, SNDT Women's University, India's first university in Bombay, they conducted their study in the same place as an evaluation. And they also more or less said the same thing. PGTV aimed to illiterate masses who have little access to other information sources, but it was found that PGTV viewers group is educated, whereas the non-viewers are illiterate. Again, the same alliance, people are educated, they have their own groups, they'll watch the TV, they'll learn it, but it will not reach the illiterate. My simple submission is that the benefit of satellite technology could not permeate to the lower class, lower socioeconomic groups and poor. And therefore it has not achieved its stated goal. In the same defense, I would say it was just a one-year experiment. You don't expect a miracle to happen. But it did sow some seeds of future development. The Kheda was no exception to the rule that I just mentioned. The third experiment on satellite communication that was conducted almost 18 years later was the Jhabua Communication Project. First time we said, okay, let's go to tribal people, the most backward, the hilly, isolated people, and provide them information if they would bring about change. Would television do it? Basically information will bring about change. This was again very carefully, it was known as the Jhabua Development Communication Project. Done in 1998 in western Madhya Pradesh, in a district called Jhabua. Mostly Bhil tribe live there. Again, this was conducted by a very eminent sociologist. It so happens from Wisconsin, Professor Vimal P. Shah. And no matter how methodology-wise rigorous study, factor analysis is, regression analysis is, he would not be able to tell me if there was any very positive gain. The only thing he could say that there were only few people who watched the program. Those who watched the program, they learned it. For me, that's not enough. Satellite communication, again, at a micro level, could not help a great deal. The last paper portion that I have not written relates to another project we worked at the same time. It's called PREAL. PREAL they call it in Hindi, but PREAL, Project in Education for Adult Literacy. Well documented. The entire project was conducted by us in the 4 states of India. Present Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and UP. Idea was that use radio as a broadcasting mode system, a specifically designed radio program based on based on textbook. The textbook will be provided to women in the villages. They will also provide a radio in their homes as a group activity. They will listen, then there will be a monitor and a teacher who will then go through the course and read the Varnamala book, textbook, and they will be able to that idea was that radio will facilitate learning process. My evaluation, our evaluation rather, is that we never were able to test the radio. Reason being that the entire system in which we were designed did not function. Being a little hilarious, but I went to the village myself, several places in Bihar, to meet people who are doing this part of the experiment. So one house I went, I said I want to meet this lady who is a teacher, paid by the government to run the radio literacy class. Oh, that's my daughter. She got married and left, she's not around. This is during experiment. So who is looking after? The books are lying there, but don't ask more than that. So I went to a tribal village in Ranchi. They were fiddling with the radio if they can listen music. Not the program. So all kinds of exotic experiences I had when I was working on the project. I came to one conclusion: radios are never tested for the purpose of education because the system did not work. The ultimate point that I want to make as a concluding remark from these 4 little stories, 5 that I mentioned to you, is that one of the myths among professionals, producers, practitioners of satellite technology in all 3 experiments and the 2 I mentioned to you is that only sophisticated technologies are capable of providing high quality communication for development. I think it's a myth. That only high quality, high technology can help solve the problems of a society. Sophistication technology is needed, but sophisticated technology is not necessarily condition for achieving goals of development. In other words, if you put the satellite, it doesn't mean that you will achieve development. I believe that technology is not a panacea for social issues, social ills, social problems. They move in their own direction. Technology goes in another direction. Then it's not possible to do so. It seems satellite technology partially helped bridge the information gap between those who had access to other sources of development information and those who did not. Further learning through television seems similar an age-old visual performance of Ram Leela. People did come watch like a Ram Leela, saw it, enjoyed, went back. The only problem was that in Ram Leela, there is a moral story known to everybody, it is only repeated. In this case, the innovations are not so repeated. Maybe if Ram Leela goes on, television goes on every day, maybe something will happen. But so far, our results have not helped them to do so. So the last point I'm saying, television in this sense may be considered as a substitute at a time when traditional performances are gradually disappearing. In other words, instead of Ram Leela, you watch TV. This calls for larger investment for community television in India. But today, this last conclusion that I've drawn is obsolete. Television has reached Indian villages in large number, in a variety of ways. And so you don't have to do anything. Mobile phones have reached. The question is, the new technology, how do we apply for development? So the experiment is required not on technology, experiment is required to understand what is the process by which we can reach out to the people in the village. And to Day before yesterday, the government of India reported 22,800 tablets were given to the 8th grade students of Uttar Pradesh for them to learn language, mathematics and science. Very soon they found out that the kids bought the software from somewhere, loaded it, and they are now watching movies and dances. So please don't undermine an Indian and a human being's ability to change technology for their school. Thank you. I stop at this point. Please do raise questions if you have. I've not given a very promising picture of the situation. I forgot to even show my slides.
Thank you so much.